यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विश्वपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, titled Liberation, Chapter 24, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And today we will be discussing text 60 and 61. 60 doesn't have a purport, so I'll read the verse and translation. And 61 will go word by word. Karmanya parimeyani manasapi sureshvaraihi saha sankarshanashchakre bhagavan madhusudanaha. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, with the cooperation of Shankarshana, Balaram, performed activities beyond the mental comprehension of even such personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. For instance, Krishna arranged the battle of Kurukshetra to kill many demons for the relief of the entire world. Text 61. Please repeat. Kalau janishyamānānām dukkha shoka tamah nudam anugrahaya bhaktānām supunyam vyatanot yashaha. Kalau janishyamānānām dukkha shokatamo nudam anugrahaya bhaktānām supunyam yatanodhyashaha. Kalau janishyamānānām dukkha shokatamo nudam anugrahaya bhaktānām सुपुण्यं यतनोद्यशः कलौ जनिष्यमाणानां दुःखशोकतमोनुदम् अनुग्रहाय भक्तानां सुपुण्यं यतनोद्यशः. कलौ जनिष्यमाणानाम् अशोकतमोनुदम् अनुग्रहाय भक्तानां सुपुण्यं यतनोद्यशः. कलौ जनिष्यमाणानां दुःखशोकतमोनुदम् अनुग्रहाय भक्तानां सुपुण्यं यतनोद्यशः. कलौ जनिष्यमाणानां दुःखशोकतमोनुदम् अनुग्रहाय भक्तानां सुपुण्यं यतनोद्यशः. माताजी. कलौ जनिष्यमाणानां दुःखशोकतमोनुदम् अनुग्रहाय भक्तानां सुपुण्यं यतनोद्यशः. Kalau, in this age of Kali, Janishyamananam, of the conditioned souls who will take birth in the future, Dukkha Shokatamah Nudam, to minimize their unlimited unhappiness and lamentation which are caused by ignorance. Anugrahaya, just to show mercy. Bhaktanam, to the devotees. Supunyam, very pious. Transcendental activities. Vyatanot, expanded. Yashaha, his glories or reputation. Translation by His Divine Grace. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Founder Acharya of ISKCON. Translation: to show causeless mercy to the devotees who would take birth in the future, in this age of Kali, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna acted in such a way that simply by remembering Him, one will be freed from all the lamentation and unhappiness of material existence. In other words, He acted so that all future devotees, by accepting the instructions of Krishna consciousness stated in Bhagavad Gita, could be relieved from the pangs of material existence. Purport: the Lord's activities of saving the devotees and killing the demons, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam, take place side by side. Krishna actually appears for the deliverance of the sadhus or bhaktas, but by killing the demons, he shows them mercy also. For anyone killed by Krishna is liberated. Whether the Lord kills or gives protection, he is kind to both the demons and the devotees. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishnaaya Bhutale Shrindari Bhakti Swami Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishnaaya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shivasati Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Kalo janishyamānānām dukkha shoka tamonudam anugrahaya bhaktānām supunyam yatanod yashaha. To show causeless mercy to the devotees who would take birth in the future in this age of Kali, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna acted in such a way that simply by remembering him, one will be freed from all the lamentation and unhappiness of material existence. In other words, he acted so that all future devotees, by accepting the instructions of Krishna consciousness stated in Bhagavad Gita, could be relieved from the pangs of material existence. So this particular section in Canto 9, which is chapter 24 and text 60 and 61, is part of a section which is at the end of this chapter. Okay, and in 9th canto we have seen lots and lots of names, lots and lots of personalities, their birth, and some specific personalities have also been discussed with respect to their activities because they are glorious. They are the devotees of the Lord, and how they led their lives gives us an inspiration of how we should lead our lives. And from text 56 onwards, 53 to 55, Shukdev Goswami, speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, tells in the 55th verse that the 8th son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna. The highly fortunate Subhadra, the one daughter, was your grandmother. Speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. From the next text onwards, text 56 to the last text, 67, he basically speaks about the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And here, from 56 onwards, he gives the description of this particular personality, Krishna, whom he addresses as Harihi, Swayam Eva Harihi Kilaha. And throughout Bhagavatam, in the previous cantos of Bhagavatam, Hari has been identified as Bhagavan, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in 55th verse, when Shukdev Goswami says Swayam Eva Hari Kilaha, then he's speaking about the Swayam Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari himself. And from 56 to 67, he gives a description of the Lord Krishna, Supreme Lord Krishna or Hari, in a way which distinguishes him completely from all the personalities who have been discussed before in this whole canto. Okay, so just to give a brief recap, because we have come after a gap of 10-15 days. So I'll just read the translation of text 56. As Shukdev Goswami says, whenever the principles of religion deteriorate and the principles of irreligion increases, the supreme controller, the personality of Godhead Sri Hari, appears by his own will. Okay, so right here itself, of course, this is a very famous shloka. Yada yada hi dharmasya shreya vriddhishcha papmanaha. And we know from Bhagavad Gita, it's Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. So it's a famous verse, but the specific point that we can skim or cream from this is that he comes to establish religion. Okay. So all the great personalities whom we have discussed in 9th canto, the great kings, they also establish religion. Okay, they also establish dharma. But the Supreme Lord, he establishes dharma because whatever he instructs is dharma. In Srimad Bhagavatam itself, it is said in 7th canto that, what is that verse? Okay. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Yes, thank you. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Dharma is established by the Supreme Lord himself. Okay, and whenever it deteriorates, then the Lord comes again and he establishes proper dharma. And all the great personalities and kings who have been mentioned in this particular canto, and all the great Rajarishis also, they do not create a dharma, or they are not the initiators of dharma. They are the maintainers of those principles which are enunciated or which are established by the Supreme Lord himself. He is the one who gives dharma, and all the other kings, they follow what the Supreme Lord gives. And when there is nobody to follow and dharma has diminished, then Supreme Lord himself appears and he again establishes dharma. So therefore he is distinct from all the personalities who have been described before. Furthermore, Shukdev Goswami says, O king, this is text 57, Maharaj Parikshit, O king Maharaj Parikshit, but for the Lord's personal desire, there is no cause for his appearance, disappearance or activities. As the super soul, he knows everything. Consequently, there is no cause that affects him, not even the results of fruitive activities. So many personalities have taken birth, specifically in this particular canto, but all of them are somehow or other influenced by their karmic reactions, by their fruitive activities. Their birth was not in their control. Their birth was sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. Their birth was under the laws of material nature. Of course, they are great personalities, but still their birth is not controlled by them. Their birth is controlled by the super soul, who is the witness of all their activities and sanctioner of all their activities based on whatever they have performed in their previous life. And they get their birth in this lifetime. But the Supreme Lord, there is no cause for his appearance. He does not appear because of his fruitive activities or of his karmic reactions. He does not disappear because of the activities that he has performed, which means that his disappearance is not, there's no cause for his disappearance, which means he disappears or he removes himself or withdraws himself from this world out of his own will. Can we control our death? No. But the Supreme Lord can control, can withdraw himself whenever he wants. Everything is under his control. And his activities are also beyond. As super soul, he knows everything, whereas the limited living entities, they know only limited things. Okay. Consequently, there is no cause that affects him, not even the results of fruitive activities. So this is the distinction. All the personalities whom we are discussing about, they may be influenced or they are influenced by their fruitive activities, but the Supreme Lord is never influenced by these fruitive activities. Therefore, he is special. And if you see, throughout 9th canto, so many personalities have been described, and now this is the conclusion that Shukdev Goswami is bringing into. This is the last chapter of Canto 9, and these are the last few set of verses, the last 12 verses of Canto 9, which gives an introduction to the ultimate personality. There are so many people in this material world, there are so many personalities who have appeared, who are glorious in their own ways, who have performed dharmic activities, who have been devotees of the Lord. But amongst them, the most important and the most primemost personality is the Supreme Lord himself, who has been discussed here. And he is distinct from all different personalities. In text 58, Shukdev Goswami says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead acts through his material energy in the creation, maintenance and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation, just to deliver the living entity by his compassion and stop the living entity's birth, death and duration of materialistic life. Thus he enables the living being to return home back to Godhead. Okay, so he is the one who liberates the conditioned living entity. No other living entity has this power unless that living entity has been given that potency by the Supreme Lord himself. And he takes the position of the spiritual master. So again, the sanction comes from the Lord himself. And text 59, Shukdev Goswami says, although the demons who take possession of the government are dressed like men of government, they do not know the duty of the government. Consequently, by the arrangement of God, such demons who possess great military strength fight with one another, and thus the great burden of demons on the surface of the earth is reduced. The demons increase their military power by the will of the Supreme, so that their numbers will be diminished and the devotees will have a chance to advance in Krishna consciousness. So this speaks about the plan of the Lord and why he comes to this material world. Text 56 discussed about this yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, right? And this is the plan, how he executes. He may not directly take part in annihilating the demons. He does do that. We know that he also kills the demons or the demoniac elements. But he arranges or he plans in such a way that the demoniac elements themselves become inimical to each other, and the both parties come together and they fight and they destroy each other. And one more thing which we see here is these verses from 56 to 64 specifically, not 65, 66 and 67. This 56 to 64, they are kind of explanation of this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Chamai Divyam. So we see text 56, it is speaking about the activities of the Lord. Yada yada hi dharmasya kshayo vridhischa papmanaha tadatu bhagavanisha atmanam srijate harihi. So this is the activity of the Lord. When dharma is diminished, then he appears to establish dharma. Then text 57 speaks about his appearance and disappearance, which is his janma. Right? Janma and his activities also. And text 58 again speaks about the activities which he gets engaged in for the creation of this material world, for the creation, maintenance and destruction of this cosmic manifestation, and also for the liberation of the living entity. Which means that this particular text is speaking about the expansions of the Lord who engage in the activities of creation and destruction. So again, it comes under the karma, the janma and karma of the Lord, the karma specifically. Then text 59 speaks about again the activities where specifically the plan of the Lord is executed by his arrangement of two demoniac elements coming together and fighting with each other. And text 60, which is today's text, speaks that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, with the cooperation of Shankarshan, Balaram, performed activities beyond the material mental comprehension of even such personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So it is mentioned as Karmanya Aparimeyani Manasapi Sureshwaraihi. So the activities of the Lord cannot be completely comprehended even by the great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Okay, so this is again a distinguishing factor between all the great personalities whom we have discussed in this canto and the Supreme Lord, because their activities are explainable. Okay, their activities are not confidential. Their activities are there through which we can take inspiration in our life or in our Krishna conscious life. But the activities of the Supreme Lord, who is specifically being spoken about here, who is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, he is not an ordinary personality. His activities are beyond, and his activities are beyond any mental comprehension, means which are beyond this material realm. And even such great personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they also cannot understand his activities. And Srila Prabhupada, in the bracket, he writes, for instance, Krishna arranged the battle of Kurukshetra to kill many demons for the relief of the entire world. In text 61, Shukdev Goswami further says, to show causeless mercy to the devotees who would take birth in the future in this age of Kali, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna acted in such a way that simply by remembering him, one will be freed from all the lamentation and unhappiness of material existence. Okay, so till this point, from 56 to 60, it spoke about the activities of Krishna with respect to the contemporaries who were there during Krishna's time. When Krishna appeared, the activities that he performed, that was for the past. And now, in this particular verse, Shukdev Goswami says that not only for the past or when Krishna was personally present in this world, even for the future, when great personalities or devotees would appear. And actually, if you see the text, it says Kalau Janishyamananam. And Janishyamananam is translated as of the conditioned souls who will take birth in the future. So for the devotees as well as the conditioned souls who are going to take birth in the future, the Supreme Lord's activities or the his pastimes which he performed, they act in such a way that simply by remembering him, one will be freed from all the lamentation and unhappiness of material existence. Right. And a specific word which is used here is Anugrahaya Bhaktanam, which is the mercy of the Lord. Okay, so Kalo Janishyamananam Dukha Shoka Tamonudam Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Supunyam Vyatanod Yashaha. So this mercy of the Lord, so Lord appears just to show his mercy to the devotees. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that not only to the devotees, but also to the demons, the Lord shows his mercy. Now, this has some aspects of this mercy that we have to understand. See, when we speak of mercy, the Lord's mercy is always there. When he appears in this material world, that itself is his mercy, correct? And his name is a manifestation of his mercy. The glories of the Lord is a manifestation of his mercy. And the devotees who are basically performing devotional service in this material world, the great devotees of the Lord, the acharyas, and the pure devotees of the Lord, and even practicing devotees, they are also the manifestation of Krishna's mercy. And the pastimes which the Lord performed, which are elaborated in books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and various other Puranas also, that is also a manifestation of His mercy. His instructions in Bhagavad Gita is a manifestation of mercy. Correct? And the holy places or the dhams in which He appeared and He performed His pastimes, that are also places of mercy. So if you see, whenever we normally speak of this material world, we speak of this material world as a place of misery. But when the Lord appears and just any contact with all these different aspects of the Lord makes, or all these different aspects of mercy of the Lord makes one eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Okay. So that way, if we see everything, all these different aspects of the Lord, when He appears, each and everything that is connected to Him is a manifestation of His mercy. But now the question that arises is, if the mercy is so freely available, then why are we not able to take, why are we not able to accept that mercy, or why are we not able to take up or say gather or basically accept or I'm not getting a proper word. But anyways, why are you not able to accept? Yeah, why are we not able to accept the complete mercy of the Lord, although it's available in all these different aspects? So, a hint is basically given here. Okay, and that is this dukkha, shoka, and specifically this word tamonudam. Okay, and the main reason is this influence of this tamoguna, which basically stops us from accepting the mercy of the Lord. And this is a manifestation when dukkha shoka is mentioned with respect to this tamonudam, because the main reason why we are not able to understand, or rather general normal people are not able to understand or not able to accept the mercy of the Lord, is because they are totally entangled in this material world. When we speak of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, the first and foremost teaching that Krishna gives to Arjuna is that you are not this body and you are an eternal living entity, you are spirit soul. So unless we come to that particular understanding that we are not this body, we are living entity, we are beyond this material body, accepting the mercy of the Lord becomes a challenge. Okay. And throughout the teachings of Krishna consciousness, we know that if we engage in sense gratification, then accepting the mercy of the Lord it's difficult, or it's a hindrance. There are verses, Bhogeshware prasaktanam, taya pahrita chesasam, vyavasayatmika buddhi, samadho na vidhiyate. So when we are attached to bhoga and aishwarya, prasaktanam, very deeply attached, bhoga aishwarya prasaktanam, taya apahrita chetasam, then vyavasayatmika buddhi, a firm determination, vyavasayatmika buddhi, to be situated in samadhi, to meditate on all these different merciful aspects of the Lord, samadho na vidhiyate, it does not arise. So this attachment to sense gratification basically hinders or stops the flow of mercy that comes through Krishna. And although people are suffering in this material world, but still they cannot understand. They do not understand because they are totally attached to their body. And this is quite evident in the material world that we see around us. Everybody can understand, or those who are a bit contemplative can understand, that this material world or the world, they might not distinguish between what is material world and spiritual world, but the place or the whole environment or the whole situation in which their existence is going on is a place of misery. It's bothersome. It's troublesome. Whatever people desire to do, it does not happen, or there are always so many hindrances for that particular that particular facility to be enjoyed with. So there is a sense of, for those who are contemplative, who are a little bit intelligent, there is a sense that this particular place is where I have to struggle. And they've also coined this term, struggle for existence. So there is struggle of existence in this material world. But because they do not have an understanding beyond their body, they will not be able to take up this process of Krishna consciousness. And the main reason for that is they are in deep ignorance, tamonudam. And one more thing is that even if they come in contact with these different merciful aspects of the Lord, because they are totally attached to their body, they think Krishna is also one of them. Krishna, when he performed his act, because if you see, apparently Krishna also takes birth. Okay, Krishna also grows up like a normal child. Krishna also moves around places like a normal person. He also acted like a politician, and there are so many people, so-called scholars, who call Krishna just as a normal politician. And he also got married. He also had so many wives, just like other kings. And he had children. He produced children also. He fought just like a Kshatriya. And finally, he disappeared from this world because an hunter shot an arrow. So all the activities of Krishna, apparently, they seem just like they are the activities of a normal, mundane person. And even if they come in contact with these pastimes and activities of the Lord, they think of these activities as nothing different from what a normal person does. So this is also one of these to distinguish all these all the great personalities who have come there, who have come before, specifically in the 9th canto, if we see, just to bring it to context. There are so many great personalities who are discussed, but the Supreme Lord is different from all of them. Similarly, in this material world, in this modern world also, there are so many great personalities, but Krishna, Lord Krishna, is different from them. And we see that in the explanations of Srila Prabhupada when he gave lectures. He used to say that, okay, Krishna also got married, but he married 16,108 wives. Who can maintain 16,108 wives? And even if you marry, a normal person can marry 2, 3, 4 wives. And from Vedic system, we can understand that there were personalities or kings who actually married more than 16,000 wives. So there are great kings who married more than 16,000 wives. But they could not provide as many palaces for all these wives as Krishna provided. Correct? Krishna had one palace for each of his wives, and the opulence which Krishna exhibited cannot be exhibited to any of the other kings, and what to speak of these people in this material world. So therefore Krishna's activities are different. Krishna, when he was a small boy, he was also stealing butter, he was also naughty, he was playing with cows, calves, he was also doing the same activities that a normal cowherd boy does. But then he also lifted Govardhan hill, also killed Putna, also killed Trinavarta. So all these different activities also he performed, the pastimes he performed, which distinguishes him from a normal personality. So although the life journey or the life of Krishna seems to be like that of a normal person, but the activities, the specific activities that he performed are completely beyond the scope of any material person to perform, either in this age or even if you go back to Satyuga. Activities that he performed is completely transcendental. Doesn't matter whether it's Satyuga, Treta, Dwapar, Kali, and what to speak of the activities which are performed by the great demigods also. Indra is mentioned as such a powerful person throughout all the Vedic literatures. He is the one who has thunderbolt as Vajra, as Ayudha. And when in Mahabharata specifically, when two warriors are fighting, then the upama or basically the analogy that is given is he shot arrow just like Indra's thunderbolt. He defeated him just like Indra defeated Vritrasura. Like that, Indra is glorified like this. So many different weapons he has, so much power he has. But then Krishna's activities are beyond or even more superior to all these activities which are performed by the great demigods. And we see Maheshwara, Lord Shiva is called as Maheshwara, right? He is superior or the topmost of all the demigods, and he himself cannot comprehend the activities of the Lord, of how he is able to perform these particular activities which are completely transcendental. Now, when we speak of Krishna's activities as stories, we can understand as a fantastic story. But these activities of Krishna actually happened in the history. And the performance of these activities are so amazing that we need certain amount of purification to not completely, but at least to have some appreciation or comprehension of how these activities are much, much beyond the realm of understanding of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva also. So demigods perform great activities, but the Supreme Lord is beyond them. And if we see, when it speaks, when this particular text 60 speaks that the Lord performed activities beyond the mental comprehension of even such personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Now, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva know everything or almost everything of what is happening within this material world. Okay. But Krishna's activities are beyond this material world in the sense that he is the source of the entire creation. He is the one who's maintaining everything as Paramatma. He expands himself into so much, into unlimited ways. Whereas we do not hear of such kind of expansions of Lord Brahma or even of Lord Shiva. Correct? But as Lord Vishnu, he expands himself into each and every atom and is there as Paramatma in each and every person's heart. He is the one who basically breathes out in his expansion, in his small expansion as an Amsha. As Mahavishnu, he expands, he breathes out all the universes where there was neither Lord Shiva or neither Lord Brahma. How did he do that? Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma have an understanding of everything within this material world. But that which is beyond, the Supreme Lord, who is called as transcendental in the Vedic literatures, how does he interact with this material world? How does he interact with his material energy? How is it that the universes which are coming from his body basically become material universes? How is it possible that the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental, who is completely spiritual, and the universes which are coming from the pores of his body, they are covered, they are enveloped by this material energy, and they become the material universe? How is that possible? Isn't it inconceivable? Anything that comes from the Lord, one who is completely spiritual, everything that manifests from him also should be spiritual. But then his material energy is existing separately, which he calls as Bahiranga Shakti. Right? Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Khammano Buddhi Revacha Ahankareti Me Bhinna Prakriti Rashtada. These material energies, these elements of material energies are different from Bhinna Prakriti, he says. So this Bhinna Prakriti itself is like an oxymoron. It is Prakriti of the Lord. It's an energy of the Lord, but it's a different energy of the Lord. And the energy of the Lord should be spiritual because the Lord himself is completely transcendental. So if we understand that the Lord is completely transcendental, how can he have his material energy also? So it's inconceivable. It's achintya. It's not understandable by normal mundane intelligence. We cannot understand. But then Shukdev Goswami says even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot understand. Because they are such great powerful beings, the controller of this whole universe. They know everything of within this universe that's happening in the material realm, but still they cannot comprehend the inconceivability of the Lord. Correct? And what to speak of his pastimes in the spiritual world. So those pastimes which happens in the spiritual world, how can they get reflected within this material world? How can something spiritual enter inside this material world and then have the same or give us the same mercy or give us the same manifestation of the spiritual realm within this material realm, which is completely covered by the material layers. Now we have discussed, actually Gopal discusses, when we are discussing this Goloka chart, this material universe is completely covered by these material elements. Correct? You have this universe and then the earth layer is 10 times thicker than the diameter of this universe. Then you have this water layer, then this fire layer, and each layer is 10 times thicker than the previous layer. But when the Supreme Lord comes, everything becomes transcendental. He is not influenced by any of these material elements when he comes here. None, the places which he touch or everything that comes in contact with him becomes spiritual. Correct? His activities become spiritual. Even his normal dealings with his wives, which look as a mundane activity, also is completely spiritual. His going to the assembly of Maharaj Dhritarashtra and speaking there is also a spiritual activity. Because it's transcendental, that is why it's recorded in the scriptures, right? So all these different things are transcendental. But then his activities, we can speak a lot more. His activities with the gopis, his pastimes with his sakha like Arjuna, his playing with the cowherd boys. These are the activities that he performs in the spiritual world. But then when they are reflected in this material world, they also have the same transcendental nature. How is that possible? And because Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are not able to understand this transcendence, they also become bewildered. When Krishna came as a young boy and he was playing with the cowherd friends and he's taking lunch from the cowherd boys and then taking their juta basically, right? Brahma could not understand. He knew that Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayana is my source. He is my supreme worshipable Lord. But is Krishna the same Lord? He could not understand. So therefore he stole the cowherd boys. He also got bewildered. Similarly, Lord Shiva also got bewildered when Mohini Murti came. Correct? So there are several instances which are mentioned in the Shastra itself. And even we'll see in the 10th canto that Lord Shiva fought with Krishna because he was attached to his follower. Correct? And Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna had to fight with each other. But then can a devotee think of fighting with the Lord when he's fully aware that he is my worshipable Supreme Lord? Correct? So Lord Shiva also got bewildered. So although they understand that Lord Vishnu is supreme, Narayana is there, he is the supreme personality of Godhead, when his activities are manifested in this material world, they could not comprehend. They could not understand because the scope of the Lord's activities is completely beyond our limited understanding. And what to speak. And the limited understanding of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva also is what to speak of our understanding. Correct? So these are the transcendental activities of the Lord. So if Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva themselves cannot understand these activities, how can we, as normal conditioned living entities, understand these activities of the Lord? How will we get the mercy of the Lord? Also, although it is completely available to us. So the way out is basically mentioned in this text. It says, no, Supunyam Vyatanod Yashaha. So the activities of the Lord are punya, are pious. This pious is, we are not speaking about the piety that takes one to the Swargaloka. When it's mentioned Supunyam, it's like this in first canto. Shrunutam Sakta Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Hridyantasthho Bhadrani, Vidunoti Suhrit Satam. Krishna's activities can be understood by hearing of Krishna's activities. To understand who is Krishna, we have to hear about him. That's the simplest of process. So this is what is mentioned here. Srila Prabhupada writes that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Lord Krishna, acted in such a way that simply by remembering him, one will be freed from all the lamentation and unhappiness of material existence. Just by remembering him. So remembering can happen when we hear about him. And when we hear about the pastimes of the Lord, then yes, we are able to remember, but then remembering or the meditation on the Lord becomes strong or becomes steady when we do kirtan also, when we speak about the same activities of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada also said, it's hearing is fine, it's correct. But when we speak of the activities of the Lord, then the determination or the meditation on the Lord becomes even more stronger. That is why Prabhupada always recommended, okay, hearing is fine, but then you have to preach also. And the more and more you preach, then the more and more determined and fixed you become in Krishna consciousness, which means basically meditating on the activities, on the pastimes of the Lord. So the starting process is Shravanam. Just by hearing, the heart becomes purified. The more and more we hear about the pastimes of the Lord, the heart becomes purified. And when the heart becomes purified, then we can have certain understanding, some understanding of the pastimes of the Lord. Correct? And yes, and it's also mentioned here, right? Prabhupada writes in this bracket in text 61, he acted so that all future devotees, by accepting the instructions of Krishna consciousness stated in Bhagavad Gita, could be relieved from the pangs of material existence. So by accepting the instructions of Krishna consciousness stated in Bhagavad Gita. So this also is a process of understanding the activities of the Lord. When now in our journey, or if we have been in Krishna consciousness for some years, we could also see that when we hear the pastimes of Krishna, specifically if we are reading Krishna book or if we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we have an intellectual understanding of the pastimes of, okay, these are the things which happened. But as we hear more and more about the pastimes of the Lord, then there's a certain amount of appreciation or certain amount of, that can say happiness or that bliss that comes up just by hearing Krishna's same activities again and again. Okay, although it has not achieved the summit, there's still a very long way to go. But just our progress in Krishna consciousness itself is an evidence of the fact that the more we hear about Krishna's activities, about his pastimes, the more understanding we gain. Very simple to understand, even if we don't go to the pastimes of the Lord, the instructions of Bhagavad Gita itself. The first time we read it, how much did we understand? Not much. But the second time we read it, the third time we read it, we attended classes, then we have a Bhakti Shastra, we have a comprehensive understanding of Bhagavad Gita, then the understanding or the subtle things that Krishna mentions, the way he has taken this whole discussion with Arjuna and the way he has presented his philosophical points right from chapter 2 to chapter 18, there's a sequence in it. The understanding or the appreciation becomes more. And how did that happen? Because we are hearing Bhagavad Gita again and again. So there's a certain amount of purification. So understanding the instructions of Krishna requires purification of the heart. Similarly, to understand the glories of the name of the Lord, we have to hear the glories of the name again and again. And then that leads to purification. To understand the glories of the Lord, His qualities, then again we have to hear again and again. So all these different merciful aspects of the Lord, if we should have some appreciation of it, then we have to hear about them again and again. And that's what leads to our progress in Krishna consciousness. And another aspect of these particular verses, which Shukdev Goswami speaks from 56 onwards, is that we were discussing that these normal activities of mundane persons, and this particular section distinguishes the activities of those normal persons from that of Krishna. But the way Shukdev Goswami presents this is an identification, or these are the aspects of what the Mayavadis understand as Brahman. Okay, if you see here, a normal person will not have these aspects, will not have these qualities. I just read from text 57 again. I'm doing it again and again just to bring into perspective a different aspect. So here in 57, Shukdev Goswami says, O King Maharaj Parikshit, but for the Lord's personal desire, there is no cause for his appearance, disappearance, and activities. As the super soul, he knows everything. Consequently, there is no cause that affects him, not even the results of fruitive activities. Now, those who are familiar with the Upanishadic language or Upanishadic verse, they know that Brahman is identified like this. That Brahman is not within the purview of the three modes of material nature. Brahman is beyond, it's transcendental, it is not affected by the results by fruitive activities, basically. Okay. And Brahman is completely transcendental. So this particular text, 57, it speaks about that the Lord is not affected by the results of fruitive activities, which means indirectly it's representing the Brahman aspect, or the Brahman which is mentioned in the Upanishads. And in text 58, Shukdev Goswami says that the Supreme Lord acts through his material energy in the creation, maintenance and annihilation, just to deliver the living entity by his compassion and stop the living entity's birth, death and duration of materialistic life. Thus, he enables the living being to return home back to Godhead. So who can stop the living entity's birth, death and duration of materialistic life? According to the Mayavadi or impersonalistic understanding, it's the meditation on Brahman itself, which basically transcends the realm of birth and death. Correct? Then we have in text 59, not specifically text 59, but text 60, it speaks about the activities of the Lord which is beyond the mental comprehension of great personalities. And it also mentions in text 61 that just by remembering the pastimes of the Lord, one will be freed from the lamentation and unhappiness of material existence, which is again according to impersonalistic understanding, what they understand from the Upanishads, by meditation on Brahman, by cultivating this knowledge of Brahman, one can come beyond this shoka and moha, and one can come beyond this material existence. And we see here that Shukdev Goswami is identifying this Brahman with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So this also gives a nice understanding that Srimad Bhagavatam is basically a commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. When we speak of the Vedanta Sutras, they are terse lines, or they are just formulas which are derived from the Upanishads. Okay. Upanishads are sometimes in verse format and there are sometimes in prose also. And the language which is expressed in Upanishads is very, very difficult to understand. So because Upanishads are the ultimate teachings of all the Shrutis, of all the Vedic literatures, to make job easier for those in Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva tersified or Vasudev wrote it in the way of formulas as Vedanta Sutras. So basically Vedanta Sutras are the commentaries or are the essence of all the Upanishads. And Upanishads speak about Brahman. And Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra as mentioned by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and is there in the different Shastras also. That Vedanta Sutra is Srimad Bhagavatam is a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And Srimad Bhagavatam completely identifies Brahman as the Supreme Lord, as Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Shukdev Goswami not only stops at this, but we will see in future in text 65, 66 and 67, he specifically in text 65, he speaks about the transcendental form of the Lord. Yasyananam Makara Kundala Charuvarnam, that verse will come. That's 65 of this chapter. It's a very famous verse. So he, after distinguishing all these different personalities which are mentioned in the Vedic literatures from the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, with respect to his janma and his karma, with respect to his birth, with respect to his activities, with respect to his plan, with his pastimes and different aspects of his mercy, then he says that this particular Brahman, this particular Supreme Lord has a form and this is his form. This is how he looks like. So this is the perfection or conclusion of the Vedanta Sutra, the explanation of this particular form of the Lord in Srimad Bhagavatam. And then in 66 and 67, he will speak about the activities of the Lord. Basically, the form of the Lord is in 65, 66 and 67 will speak about the activities of the Lord. In 66, he'll start with the birth of the Lord, and in 67, he'll complete the activities of the Lord with his disappearance. Okay, only 2 verses. And then after that, in 10th canto, only when Parikshit Maharaj prompts Shukdev Goswami to speak more about the activities of the Lord, then he speaks the rest of the 90 chapters of 10th canto. Otherwise, all the pastimes of the Lord are limited or are condensed within these 2 verses, 66 and 67. So the point which I am trying to make is that one more aspect that we can understand from what Shukdev Goswami is speaking is, he's clearly trying to distinguish between all these personalities who have discussed till now and who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. He has the same qualities as that Brahman which is mentioned in the Upanishads, as that person who is mentioned in the Vedanta Sutra. He is that personality. And the ultimate understanding is the understanding of his form and his pastimes, which he mentions in text 65 and 66 and 67. Okay. So these are some things which I kind of understood when we read these verses. So I'll stop here. If you have any questions, you can take that. Okay. Yes. 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 We are holding it. Yes. Yeah, that will come in the next verse specifically. I think that. So next verse, or I think 63, 64. Yeah, it's there. Yes. 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 Yeah, correct. Yeah, this is also one point which I wanted to make. But that accepting the mercy actually depends on us. If we want it, we will get it. But then it is our stubbornness, as you mentioned, and it is our own limitation or our lack of sincerity and seriousness which basically blocks this mercy. So it's although it's freely available, but then it's up to us whether we want to receive it or not. So it's like just like a horse being dragged to to a river, and then now the horse has to decide whether to drink that water or not. It's like this. So no, we have to earn the mercy. So there are several points which I had made or which I had noted but did not make. That we seek mercy. Okay, when we go to approach a senior devotee, we express that please give your mercy and all. But we also have to be contemplative and think: Are we really being eligible, or are we doing our best to receive the mercy which is available or not? And if we are not doing that, then although the mercy is there, but still we are responsible for not gaining it, for blocking it. So Prabhupada also used to give this analogy that this he said in a different context, but I think it applies to here also, that Krishna's mercy is there. It's just like a radio message, and we have to tune to that radio message. And if we are able to tune to that, then the mercy is freely available. The mercy is there in His name. And Prabhupada also said, no, the like 90-95% of advancement in Krishna consciousness happens by the chanting the holy name of the Lord. That's Sankirtan movement. That's the name is what is the ultimate, this ultimate process in this Kali Yuga. But how is our chanting? That also we have to think of. What is our understanding? All those things come into picture. So are we tuned in to this complete process? Then the mercy is available. The mercy is available from the spiritual master, from the acharyas, from Krishna. But if we are not able to tune in, then we struggle. That's it. That's how it is. And we struggle and we become frustrated. The point is, if we are frustrated in Krishna consciousness, we know we are definitely doing something wrong. Yes. Krishna is Swarad. Yes. Hmm. Accepting what? Accepting mercy. Accepting mercy. Accepting Krishna or taking up Krishna consciousness is within our hands. Yes. 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 Okay. So the question is accepting the process of Krishna consciousness is within our hands, but achieving Krishna, or basically when you say achieving means basically the end result or prayojana to get that prayojana, it's actually not in our hands. Because Krishna is completely Swarat, he is completely independent. So how do we achieve him? It's up to him to sanction it. So it becomes a bit doubtful that although I'm doing all this endeavor, but ultimately will I reach to that prayojana at all or not, which is completely not within my hands, but it's within the Lord's hands. So, okay. The process we take up for Krishna consciousness is definitely within our hands. We do that process. And Krishna gives he himself tells, okay, that one who takes up devotion service or one who understands my janma and karma, he will not take birth again. Okay. Or bhaktya maam abhijanati, one who performs devotion service, he knows me. At several places, sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva mokshishami ma suchaha. If you surrender unto me, I will do this. So Krishna himself at multiple places in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, he tells that if you do this, I promise I will do this. Okay. So we have faith in Krishna's words that although ultimately we cannot, as Guru Maharaj says, barge into Vaikuntha, break open the doors by our devotional service and get into Vaikuntha. That's not going to happen. We definitely need Krishna's sanction. But then Krishna gives us all this instruction, in form of instructions and in form of his mercy itself, that if we perform these particular things, if we perform devotional service, then he will definitely reciprocate. He says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmana vartante. He says, as people surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So ultimately comes to our surrender. So that is there. But Krishna will do whatever he has to do because he is not like us. He does not have any ill feelings towards us. He does not have any vicious thoughts about us. He is not trying to find fault within us. He is completely transcendental. His thought process is completely transcendental. We cannot understand how his thought process because we are limited by our own conditioning. But then when we speak that he is completely transcendental and is merciful to all living entities, then it's an absolute position. When Krishna is merciful, it's at the absolute platform. So what he expects from us is devotion or love or expression of devotion service from us, and then he will reciprocate. And this is further corroborated or further intensified or further established by the acharyas who come in this line, okay, in our parampara and in other different paramparas also, the great devotees of the Lord. They, by their activities and by their own life and by their teachings also prove to say, or they are the evidence for us to understand that by performing this process of devotional service, definitely we will achieve that goal. And Srila Prabhupada himself, he said, this 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, attending Mangalarti in the morning, rising up early, attending Mangalarti, following instructions of the spiritual master, engaging in devotional service, these things are enough for one to go back home, back to Godhead. So, whatever Krishna said, the Acharya is repeating the same thing, and by that we get the faith that if we perform our devotional service without any malice, without any hidden motives, with full sincerity and seriousness, then we will achieve that goal. Ultimately, we are dependent on Krishna. When we surrender, we do not think of what is going to happen to us in the future. That's the aspect of surrender. You surrender everything with body, mind and words. So we surrender with body, which means we have to serve to that person whom we have surrendered. We surrender our words also, and we surrender our mind also. So that doubt should not be there. When we surrender, that doubt should not be there whether it will work out or not, whether it will happen or not. So surrender requires full faith, full conviction, and then we surrender. And our problem comes because we are not surrendered like that. We are not surrendered like that to the spiritual master. We are not surrendered like that to the Acharya, to Krishna himself. We are not surrendered like that. So therefore all these doubts are there within our mind. But then we are supposed to surrender all three. And then whatever gati, whatever destination, whatever prayojana they award us, we should be happy with that. Now, if we go, like, these verses are there in Bhagavatam, I think, or Chaitanya Charitamrita, that a devotee, even if he goes to hell, this Chaitanya, this Shikshashtaka, Ainanda Taranja Kim Karam Patitama Vishme Bhavambudo Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaj Dhuli Sadram Chindaya. So even if you send me to hell or you keep me with me, no, I have Ashish Lava Padatam, sorry, yes, Ashish Lava Padatam, that verse. So even if you keep with me or you send me to hell or whatever it is, I just want to remain as your servant for eternity. So that is full surrender. Correct. So that is what we should aim for. From our side, our goal should be surrender onto Krishna, onto the spiritual master. Everything else will be taken care of. We don't need to have a doubt regarding that. Yes. 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 So even in Vyas Puja lectures, Guru Maharaj mentioned this that there's a sadhana and sadhya, and just to that sadhana itself is my sadhya. This acceptance of spiritual master to render service itself is the goal. So that he has accepted. So that's it. Okay, and whatever else has to happen, it will happen automatically. We don't have to really endeavor for it because we have to understand it's not our endeavor which works. We can only express our sincerity, our seriousness, but everything else flows through in the form of mercy because we are insignificant. All our activities or whatever we do, we are not the doers, basically speaking. We are expressing ourselves through our service, and whatever we are supposed to get, we will get. When we speak of this, there is this, Guru Maharaj also spoke about Sambandha, Abhidaya and Prayojana to understand that love of Krishna is the ultimate achievement. But then the love of Krishna will come if we follow this process. Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha. That 9 process will ultimately lead to prema. So Rupa Goswami has already defined what we are supposed to do. And as an Acharya who understood the mind or the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he knows what he's speaking about. And he is saying, you follow this process, ultimately you'll reach that goal. So love of Krishna is what the ultimate goal is. And we'll get there if this process is followed. So we should not have any doubt whether this will happen or not. So just the practice of Krishna consciousness, not mechanically also. So one more thing is not that, okay, like a robot, I just do activities, no, I move my hands, move my legs, and devotion service. No, we need to have emotion. We need to have that cultivation also. That we cannot have a relationship with a wife or a husband just by doing some services in a robotic manner. There must be emotions. We cannot interact with our children in that robotic manner. There must be some emotion also. All the service is being taken and reciprocated, but still emotion is also involved. Activities are done, but then it should be done with a proper understanding of why we are doing this. So that's why this Guru Maharaj also mentioned this in this lecture that prayojana should be understood. If we understand the prayojana properly, then the sambandha becomes more steady. But if we do not know and we just mechanically do it, then it may take a longer time. Yes. 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 श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की